Everyone, welcome to our online course on irrigation engineering. So in today's video's lecture, we can see about the various methods of irrigation and the other farm water application methods that are used in irrigation engineering. So as we all know, irrigation is the science of artificial application of water to the plants in accordance with the crop water requirement throughout the crop period for full-fledged nourishment of crops. So crop water requirement is the total quantity and the way in which a crop requires water from the time it's sown to the time of its harvesting. And the crop period is the time that elapses between the time of sowing and to the instant of its harvesting. So now we come for irrigation methods. Irrigation methods in general can be broadly classified into three types. One is surface irrigation, next one subsurface irrigation, and the last one is micro irrigation. Surface irrigation is the irrigation in which the water is applied on the surface of the land area which is cultivated. So this can be classified into two types. One is flow irrigation and the other is lift irrigation. Flow irrigation, the water flows under the action of gravity. In lift irrigation, water is lifted using mechanical or manual means and then it is transferred for irrigation purposes. So generally we use pumps for lifting of water. In ancient times, we use bullock-driven methods for lifting up water. Flow irrigation can be further classified into two types, perennial irrigation and flood irrigation. Perennial irrigation is also called controlled irrigation since here water is used in a controlled manner from the source of river. Flood irrigation is called uncontrolled irrigation since no measure is taken to control its flow. So this perennial irrigation can be further classified into two types. One is direct irrigation and the other is storage irrigation. In direct irrigation, the water is obtained directly from the river by diverting it and it is directly used for a land area to be irrigated. In storage irrigation, we construct certain impounding structures like reservoirs across the river and then we utilize the water during the needy time. Next is the subsurface irrigation. In subsurface irrigation, we use the water by applying it below the ground surface, that is below the land surface area. This can be classified into two types. One is natural subsurface irrigation and the other one is artificial subsurface irrigation. In natural subsurface irrigation, a best example is that when a channel is flowing, the water gets leaked from the channel and it supplies water to the nearby land area which having cultivation crops. So that is what leakage from water canals irrigating lower lands means. Next is artificial subsurface irrigation. In artificial subsurface irrigation, what we do is that we intentionally provide open jointed drains in a channel so that the water can percolate below the soil area and irrigate the surrounding land area. So it comes under artificial subsurface irrigation. So next one is the micro irrigation. This micro irrigation can also be called as advanced irrigation or modern irrigation techniques. The first one is sprinkler irrigation and the other one is drip irrigation. So sprinkler irrigation is we use spraying method, that is we simulate artificial rain by using network of pipe and pump so that we can get a uniform distribution of water even in water scarce area. Drip irrigation is that we provide water directly to the root zone of the plants using certain specially designed pipelines. So both are recently developed techniques and it comes under modern irrigation techniques. So these are irrigation methods based on a broad classification. Next we can see about the farm water application techniques. So here in farm water application techniques, it is the way in which we apply the water to the plants. There are four basic methods. One is flooding method, the other is furrow irrigation method, third one sprinkler irrigation method and fourth one is drip irrigation method. We will see about all these detail in the coming up slides. The first one, the flooding irrigation method can be further classified into four methods: free flooding, border flooding, check flooding and basin flooding. So free flooding is also called ordinary flooding or wild flooding, since we don't take any measure to control the flow of water in the land area. Here what we do is that we construct a ditch, or we excavate a ditch in our field along the contour up or down the slope. We also provide subsidiary ditches and outlets so that water enters into a field and it floods the land area. The land area is completely submerged. Here the initial land preparation cost is low, so labor requirements also is high, since we need to monitor the water flowing. And since we use a large quantity of water for irrigation, the water application efficiency is low here. The contour ditches are placed at an interval of 20 to 50 meter apart. This method is suitable for land with rolling terrain category, where other methods cannot be used successfully. Next is border flooding. So in border flooding, we divide the land into a number of strips. These strips are separated by levees called borders. So the strip size usually vary with 10 to 20 meter width and 100 to 400 meter in length. So to prevent the clogging of water on only one side of this strip, what we do is that we level the land perpendicular to the direction of flow of water. So what we do here is that we apply water from one side of the strip. So this water slowly starts moving as water increases, and it gets infiltrated. At the same time, it moves on flowing. Once the water reaches the other end of the strip, we turn off the supply of water. This method is popular among the cultivators. So shorter and narrow strips are more efficient in border cultivation. Next one is check flooding. It is similar to free and border flooding, except that water is controlled by check area. So that is an additional cross borders are provided in addition to the borders. Here the levees are low and flat. Here the water is filled at high rate. So a large quantity of water is placed inside the strip and allowed to stand until the water infiltrates. Levees are generally constructed along contours with the interval 5 to 10 centimeter. Here the levees are connected with cross levees, and the confined plot area varies from 0.2 to 0.8 hectares. It is suitable for more permeable as well as less permeable soils. Basin flooding is a special kind of check flooding. It is also called ring flooding. So because a ring shape basin is created around trees or orchards, and the water is irrigated there. The surface is flooded. Similarly, in the check flooding, the water is supplied from a main supply channel. Next is furrow irrigation. This furrow irrigation differs from ordinary flooding method. How? The flooding method, we completely submerge the cultivation area with water. But here what we do is that we split the land in such a way that there is alternate ridges and furrows. The water is supplied only in the furrow area, while the plants are provided or cultivated in the ridge area. So by doing this, only 1/5 to 1/2 of the land surface is wetted by the water. Consequently, it results in less evaporation, less pudding of soil. So the furrows are narrow field ditches excavated between rows of plants and carry irrigation water through them. So spacing is determined by the spacing of the crops which is planted. Then the depth of the furrow varies from 8 to 30 centimeter and maybe as long as 400 meter. So deep furrows are used for row crops, and shallow small furrows are used for relatively irregular topography and for close growing crops such as meadows and small grains. Next we come for sprinkler irrigation method. So it's a kind of simulation of artificial rain. We use network of pipes and pumps to create this artificial rain. So it's a costly process and is widely practiced in USA rather than India. Here nowadays we are adopting this technique since it can be used effectively even in the water scarcity areas. This method is suitable for all type of soils with different topography and slopes, and it may be applicable for all crops since it provides an uniform distribution of water. It has a great potential to irrigate areas where other surface and subsurface methods are difficult. So in sprinkler system, we have a main and sub-main through which the water flows under pressure. Then we have laterals, and then we have sprinkler heads. So the sprinkler heads, revolving sprinkler heads, are mounted on rising pipes which are attached to the laterals, and the water jet comes out through this revolving sprinkler at a force. So then we can see about the types of sprinkler system. There are three types of sprinkler system. One is permanent system, other is semi-permanent system, and the next one is the portable system. In permanent system, all the component such as electric motor, pump, suction line, main line, lateral, risers, sprinklers, everything are in fixed position in the field. It cannot be altered in any time once it is installed. While in semi-permanent system, the main lines are buried in the ground and the laterals are portable. You can change the that is lateral lines once we place it. In portable system, both mains and the laterals are portable. This portable system has low initial cost. However, it needs high labor requirement since we need to move the equipment once the irrigation is completed. So this portable system is suitable for low growing crops and not for tall crops such as corn and sugarcane. Next, condition under which sprinkler method is adopted. This method is adopted for irrigation lands which are irregular and unsuitable for surface irrigation. It can be used in case of steeper gradient lands with erodible soils, in the areas with high water table, in the areas where seasonal water requirement is low, such as coastal land areas. We can use this sprinkler method effectively, and it can be effectively used in water scarcity areas. Advantages is that since we are not conveying the water in earthen canals, we can eliminate the seepage loss. We don't need to level the land, and we can use the land as such. And the cultivation area, we are optimizing it since we are not digging any excavation pits. And next, we can avoid the surface runoff by regulating the water. We can add the fertilizer directly with water by mixing it. So it's an advantage here, and less labors are required. The efficiency is up to 80%. The limitations is that it cannot be used in high windy areas since it obstructs the uniform distribution, and high temperature and high velocity areas imparts evaporation losses also. Initial cost is high for installation of the sprinkler system, and we need skilled labor for that. And since we use pumps and pressure systems, we require a large electrical power. And another one is that we need silt and sand free water for supply. Otherwise, the sprinklers get clogged. So we use sand and silt free water. A constant supply of water is also needed when we use it as in a large scale. So those are the limitations. Next, we go for drip irrigation. This is the latest technique developed recently, and it is also called as trickle irrigation, as water is applied in drops directly to the root zones in a slow rate. This minimizes evaporation and percolation losses and is suitable for places with acute water scarcity and salt water problem. When we see the diagram below, that we can see the drip emitter is placed near the base of the stem such that the water directly falls into the root area. So by doing this, the excess salt content around this root area get expelled, and only the salt that plant needs can be absorbed easily. So it's a great advantage in salty areas for growing plants. The advantage is that we can apply slow and frequent and precise amount of water for the plants. And we here, by using this drip irrigation, only 10% of the water of flooding method is used. So irrigation efficiency increases above 80% and we get a higher yield. And it is popular in arid and semi-arid such as desert areas. Drip irrigation system consists of head, main, sub-main, lateral and drip nozzle. So water comes out through the drip nozzles uniformly at a very small rate. Head consists of a pump for lifting water and maintaining the pressure in the system. A pressure of 2.5 atmospheres is generally maintained. This water is then passed to a fertilizer tank. In fertilizer tank, what we do is that we mix the fertilizer into the water. Then after this, we filter the water so that no suspended material is present in the water. Then the water passes to mains and submains. The submains and mains are made up of specially designed black PVC pipes. So these are generally laid on or underground under the ground. Next is laterals. Laterals are very small sized pipes, usually 1 to 1.25 centimeter in diameter. They are also specially designed of black PVC. Laterals are usually 50 meter long and are laid one for each row of crops. The drip nozzles are emitters or valves is fixed on the laterals at regular intervals about 0.5 to 1 meter, discharging water at very small rate at the order of 2 to 10 liter per hour. So these are the irrigation methods and water application methods adopted in irrigation to facilitate the growth of crops. So for further reference, you can refer the listed books and also the e-content listed here. And thank you for your patience.